Hello everybody. Today we're going to be playing Civ Matters Civilization 5 again. We're going to be playing the scenario called Scramble for Africa. We're going to be playing as the Boer. So immediately we get a good and a bad spot at the same time. So it's good because it has a lot of defense, because I have this huge mountain range through here. But it's bad because I have no room to settle a city without being right next to the Zulus, which will piss them off. So I'm probably not going to settle it for a little bit. It's just going to chill out until it clears up a little bit. So I'm going for ironwork so that we can get our production up as fast as we can, so that we can build military units, so that we can build and attack pretty much as quick as possible, unless if some other situation pops up. So until we can get a couple cannons, we're just going to chill. We're going to hunker down, defend our city as much as possible, and just see what happens here. So the main reason why I have not settled my second city is because I want the Zulus to go to war with either Portugal or England. And then when I settle my city, they'll be so focused on that that they really won't be able to attack me. And hopefully then we can just settle and then get both of our cities up and running and working good. So the most common deity strategy that I know of is to immediately go to war with Elizabeth and try to take her out as soon as possible to get rid of most of her early game troops, because over time she just gets stronger and stronger, and that's with all the European states really. But as you know, I'm going for a pacifist run, so I'm trying to avoid war no matter what, which is so far going okay. I have not been declared war on by Elizabeth or any Portugal or anyone else that I've met, not even the Zulus who usually go to war with me, so I'm doing pretty good so far. Speaking of which, I'm definitely going to throw down a save so that if I do mess this up, I can always come back, because I like this mountain range. It's big, and so far so good, so let's go. So I'm going to keep on building military units in my capital, and then I'm going to start building culture buildings and working on just getting straight up culture in my second city, because that will allow me to get more points, because the civilization gets victory points by generating culture, unlike the other ones. It looks like the Zulus have been pretty much taken out, so I'm just hoping that the Europeans don't come and murder me next, because that's usually what they would do. So this playthrough is pretty much wholly based on my diplomacy, because everybody dislikes me. If I go to their page, it'll always say, your land belongs to me under their things. So they'll always have a negative towards me, and only if I do things that they like will there be a positive to kind of balance that out. So right away, I had accepted embassy with England, and that was a positive, so that allowed her to not attack me right away, and she instead attacked the Zulus, who she hated and probably did not accept her embassy, or was just in the way that they wanted. I also believe that my actual settlement area they don't believe is very valuable, because it's a bunch of mountain and some plains, and there's not really a lot of good resources where I am, according to the AI. Oh, and the Europeans are very into exploring, and I'm not blocking off any lands, because I'm just along this mountain range, and they can all get around me, because they have open borders with each other. So now I'm going to be trying to fix my gold situation, because to the right you can see the exclamation mark in the circle, and that's saying if my gold gets to -5, then it'll start deleting my units, because they'll not have enough money to pay them. However, I don't think this ever happens. I don't know if the game's just not finished, or if there's a bug, but this never happens. I've never had a unit disband, because I've gone to -5, or -10, or -15 gold, which means that they should definitely disband over time. But they never have any time I've played this, so that's good to know. So now I'm done building up my military, so I'm going to start focusing wholly on culture. So I'm going to be doing the right side of the policy tree, which is just based on getting more culture per turn, whereas the left is based on combat and military strength. And the main way to get culture in this game is to get either great works or else do political treaties from the great writers. So the great works you can get from the great musicians, the great artists, or the great writers. And with this one in the policy tree, you can get +5 culture, I think, from each one. So that is much better than usually you get +2 culture and +2 tourism. But in this scenario, you can do it the policy that adds even more culture per great work. So it's very important to build the artist guild, the musician guild, and the writers guild, along with the great epic, or national epic, I mean, in order to actually get these as fast as possible so you can start generating a ton of culture. At the end of this video, there's a bunch of failed runs, which I did, which I actually did after this run. So this was my first run. It's the best run that I got. And then there's a bunch of failed runs, which I just show little tidbits at the very end. And most of them ended around turn 50. There is one that ended around turn 45, or 50 turns left, 45 turns left. I think the one even ended at 58 turns left. So already we're in kinda where most of my runs failed. And even when I watched this video back and tried to do everything the same, I still cannot get past that 45 turns left, which is just crazy. So this great work right here, I was seeing how many turns I had left and how much it was giving me because I did not know about the policy that did the +5. It was even still worth it if it was only +2 for the 50 turns that were left. So this open borders trade is such an amazing thing because she's just offering 1 horse for open borders, which is equivalent to pretty much 1 gold or open borders, so it's an even trade. And that's with the modifier that makes them always hate me, which means that England is actually okay with me. This did not happen in most of my runs. Most of the runs, she would not even tolerate any trades that I tried to do, or would not offer me any trades like this. So this is like a perfect sign for me. So Elizabeth's actually so happy with me that I can actually trade strategic resources, which I don't really need, for actual luxury resources, which will increase my overall happiness and gives me more culture per turn because of it. Also, having open borders is really good for me because that means that I can discover these cities of Elizabeth's, which I can then do trade routes with. Also, I can start exploring the rest of the map and meet other cities, which I don't know if is a good thing or a bad thing, but I can do it, so it'll make it a little bit more interesting than just sitting in this little confined area. So now it's pretty smooth sailing. I'm just focusing on getting some gold, getting happiness and culture, mostly culture obviously, and then I'm going to send the worker north to go explore and meet new civilizations. And while I'm developing my cities and trying to get it so that I can optimize my culture, everyone else is building mass weapons of destruction. Absolutely just spamming out cannons, Gatling guns, and riflemen, and if that ever goes to war with me, then I am screwed. So here I use the political treaties to get the next culture policy, which is not really the best because I could obviously got probably more culture from just using having it as a great work instead. But I was looking at the turns and was not sure, still thinking that I'd only get 2 per turn for the great work. I was thinking that it would be worth it. However, as you can see, that policy makes it so that it would be +5 instead of +2. At this point, I'm getting scared because Victoria just announced me, and all the things are negative. There's no positives. And I'm like, what the heck? Well, it turns out that our accept embassy somehow reversed. So that just needed to be fixed, and hopefully everything should go back to normal. So I have this theory that if you have trade routes with civs that are angry with you, then they'll probably be less likely to go to war with you because they're also benefiting from that trade route. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I've seen very much of a difference if having and not having them, but I do it anyway. Because really, anything that might help me, I want. This scenario can also be hard because you don't have any science, so you're always stuck in the same spot. As you can see, we finished up to dynamite, and then that's done. That's as far as you go. So to actually build extra buildings, you just can't. So it's hard to get revenue and happiness from the buildings that you already have. If I was able to generate lots of gold per turn, I would have definitely tried to ally one of these city-states, because they're not allies with anybody, so I would not be stepping on anybody's toes, and that would improve my military strength a bunch, so people would probably be less likely to actually attack me. Also, through my very numerous trials of trying to do this, I realized that when they actually denounce you, it's actually a good thing in this case, because when they denounce me, that means that they're not going to war with me that turn. Instead, they're just denouncing me. So, if I see a denouncement, I'm actually stoked. I'm super happy, because they could be declaring war on me right now, but instead, they're only denouncing me. Obviously, no denouncement is better than a denouncement, but that's okay. So this is where the run goes south. I did not win. I tried to make a trade route with England for 8 gold per turn. Instead, I got 9,000 gold per turn, which I believe the AI was not stoked about. And they decided that my land was valuable, because I'm making way too much gold per turn, and they all declared war on me. Well, technically only Bismarck and England. But England's the one person who I cannot have war declaring on me. And, I mean, Portugal's pretty close too. Bismarck, he's not gonna touch me. He's on the other side of a mountain range, so it doesn't really matter. But England is definitely a bad / the worst person to declare on me ever. So this was the end of the run. So now you get to enjoy me getting slaughtered by the AI for the last couple minutes. Have fun! Now keep in mind that the fighting here really does not matter, because you can see the sheer number of their troops. Yes, I do have a defensible position, but when there is 30 cannons aimed at my troops, they're not going to survive. Even if I can shoot their cannons as they approach, they can approach with way too many cannons for me to kill every turn, and eventually I will get outnumbered and die. Now, I could maybe have tried to survive until I could possibly make peace, but the chance of me being able to make peace when I have pretty much nothing to offer the AI, other than maybe a city, which I was not in a position to actually defend my second city, because I had no troops around it, and I don't have enough cannons to cover both cities. Yeah, it left me kinda and utterly screwed, for a lack of a better word. Now, also, all my other runs I lost way before this point. But this run was going good, so I am blaming this run failure completely on that glitch of me getting over 9,000 gold per turn. Because, yeah, I was doing good. I mean, it could have been that they hate me and that was gonna happen inevitably. When my score got too close to theirs, because my score was on the rise. But in the end, it doesn't matter. I still lost the end. Enjoy the rest of my descent into madness. Let me know if you can do a pacifist run that makes it all the way to the end. See ya!
Receio não poder permitir que o vosso reino exista durante muito mais tempo. Espero que não vos importeis.
Ich kann nicht warten, bis ihr noch mächtiger geworden seid.
Receio não poder permitir que o vosso reino exista. Receio não poder permitir.